This video describes a second assignment to be submitted during this first week of school. So again, you're going to be logged into on Blackboard, and on your courses, pick this course that you're enrolled in, your biology course. And once you're in there, go to course content and then pick the file where it says weekly folders. And in there right now, you should only see the week 1 folder. The other weeks will not be visible to you as a student. When you click on there, we've already done a video describing the first assignment. This is the second assignment. This assignment is titled Student Time Budget. And again, the way you're going to submit your assignment here is online by clicking on this link. But you don't need to already click there to start the assignment. So basically, read the directions here thoroughly. Observe what the due date is, which is due this week, at the end of the week, and then get started. Pay special attention to the way you're supposed to name the file once you download and open it. And what you're going to be doing is working on a time budget, and the reason for a time budget is because it's very important for students to manage their time. Whether you're a traditional student and all you're doing is coming to school, or you're a student who works part-time or has family, budgeting your time can become very important. The time can get away from you very, very quickly. So the idea here is to put down a schedule of all of your commitments before school, and then look for any openings in there that you can schedule regular study time for your courses. So in order to do this assignment, you're going to click here on the time budget spreadsheet, and it'll open it up. It'll open up and let you look at it. And when you do, you'll see there's 4 tabs here. There's the description of the assignment, and then there's a time inventory tab, and then where you'll actually write your daily time budget, and then an example of what a budget will look like. Notice there is no blanks, so there should be no blanks there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and download it, as you should. And as you download it, you're going to open it up, and it'll save to your download file, and you can move it from there if you want. You can keep it in there. But what I would do is, me personally, is keep this time budget, because you can use it in the future for helping you budget your time to make sure that all time is used wisely. So we'll wait for Excel to open up here. Get that time budget open. Now, the idea here behind the time budget is just like it was news for me. When it comes to classes that you take, I often found confusing why would a history course be considered a 3-hour course? Why would a kinesiology course be a 2-hour course, and what did those hours mean? Well, it turns out, and as described here, how many colleges and universities give credit is through this Carnegie system of units. And for each unit that you earned in a college course, for example, if this was a history class and it was a 3-hour class, you're earning 3 hours of credit. For each of those 3 hours of credit, each hour is going to include 1 hour of instruction in class. So that means a 3-hour class is going to have 3 hours of instruction every week. And for each of those hours of instruction, you as a student should be given enough information or assignments to where you would have about 2 hours of work for each of those hours. So if you're taking a 3-hour class, then that means for each of those 3 hours of instruction, then you have 2 hours of work. So that's 6 hours of work outside plus the 3 hours that you're in class. And this explains why, as it says here, there toward the top, it says that 12 hours is considered full-time, because you're going to be in class for 12 hours of instruction. So let's say you're taking 4 3-hour classes, and that's 12 hours. So you're going to be in class for 12 hours every week. For each of those hours, you're supposed to be given enough information or assignments that would require 2 hours for each hour outside of class. So if we take those 12 hours of instruction, multiply by 2, that gives you 24 hours of work outside of class, plus the 12 hours you're in. That totals 36 hours of work for the full-time student for school alone. And that's basically a full-time job. 36 hours, 40-hour work week, pretty much. So make sure you read through the rest of this description carefully, including the rationale for time management, what this workbook is, and instructions for actually filling out the workbook. So read through it carefully. I'm going to describe some of it so that hopefully it's fully understood. And so you're going to see that there are 4 tabs down here. This is the read first, so make sure you read through this when you start the assignment. And then the first thing you're going to do is a time inventory, which is here. And then from there, you'll move on to the daily time budget, and then an example of what your time budget should look like once it's complete. Now, a lot of the sheet is protected. You can see as I'm clicking here on some of the other cells, you can't select them. The only ones you're going to be able to select are the green ones, and that's where you'll fill in the space. Now, if you go back to the directions of how it fills in, it says you're going to estimate to the nearest quarter hour. A quarter of an hour is 15 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to imagine a clock with hands on there. And we start right here at the top at 12. And we were to move to the 3. That's going to be a total of 15 minutes. So 15 minutes takes up 1/4 of the distance around the face of this clock, right? So you can see that every 15 minutes would be 1/4. So the first, so 15 minutes would be a quarter of an hour, or 0.25 hours. So this is how you'll be filling in your work. So if we were to continue and go 30 minutes, then 30 minutes would be 0.25 plus 0.25. That would be now a total of 0.5 hours, or half an hour pretty much. Now, you're going to be using decimals to fill this in. If you go to 45 minutes, then that's 0.75, and you go all the way around, then that's a whole other hour. So, for example, if you estimate that you spend an hour and 15 minutes doing something, then in those green spaces, you're gonna put in not 1 hour and 15 minutes. You're gonna put 1.25 because you're estimating the nearest quarter hour. So 1.25 hours is the same as 1 hour and 15 minutes. If you estimate that something takes you 45 minutes to do it, then you would say, well, 45 minutes, it's not even a full hour, so that's going to be, you would type in 0.75 hours, since that represents 1 to 3/4 of an hour. Okay, so make sure you follow this, or the worksheet will not work properly. So as you go through this, one of the things to help doing this time inventory is to make us aware of the fact that even some of the most basic things we do on a daily basis do take time, and that overall you can't get around this. There is only 168 hours in a week, 7-day week altogether. So it's 24 hours times 7 gives you 168 hours. So as you go through and you fill this in, it's going to start totaling things for you. So for example, grooming, which is when you get up, you get ready, am I going to fix your hair, wash up, and so on. Like, it takes me about 45 minutes to do my hair. Just kidding, right? But let's say that it takes you 30 minutes to do do some grooming in the morning, and you do this say 5 days out of the week. So how many hours? Well, if it takes you half an hour, you're not going to put 1/2. You're going to put 0.5 in there, okay? And so when you put it in there, 0.5, and then in the next box, you're going to fill in how many days out of the week you do this. So since I said 5 days out of the week, and then I do that, and you can see the column on the right will multiply those two to give you the total number of hours that you spend grooming during the week. And then at the bottom here, it's going to have this running total, and then it's going to subtract from 168 hours, and you can see right now the time we have left is 165.5 hours. So you're going to go through the rest of this eating. About how much time do you think you spend daily eating? Maybe you approximate about 1.5 hours eating, maybe not even including meal preparation or whatever, and you do that where you eat all the days of the week, so that's times 7, and so you can see now that's 10.5 hours every week of eating, and you can see that total is coming down here in the time left, and this would be the time left at the end for studying. So go down through the rest of this, and if you can think of any other activities, you may need to add a few more hours in here. So again, to the nearest quarter hour, let's say whatever doesn't meet these categories, but I know I spend 5 hours doing something else that for me doesn't fit in these categories. You just go ahead and put it in here. I estimate I spend about 5 more hours that week, and it'll take those hours away. Now, if you get a negative number here, you've overestimated something up here. So you need to go back and look up there and see what overall you may have overestimated. Okay. Ideally, you're going to have some time left down here in the yellow box. Once you complete this chart, then just leave it alone, and you're going to move on to the next tab. And again, this exercise is really more about becoming more aware of how much time can be spent doing things. So you would fill that in. Remember, to the nearest quarter hour, and then how many days out of the week you spend per day doing that on average. And then you're going to move on to your time budget, and each of these squares here represents a 30-minute block. That one right there would represent from 5:30 to the next block, 6. So this would be the 30-minute block of 5:30 to 6. This one would be 6 to 6:30, and so on. And what you're going to do in here is you're going to go in and fill in all of your time commitments. Okay. For example, you might be commuting to school at 6:30 in the morning because you have a 7 a.m. class. So you're going to type in things that are descriptive: commute to school or drive to school. And then if you know you do this 4 days out of the week, then all you have to do is Control C or copy up here, and then you would just copy and paste. You would paste in there, and then filling in is not a big deal. Let's say you know that you go to sleep most days at 10:30, and then you wake up say at 5:30. You don't have to type in every one. Just go ahead and Control C or copy the cell. Right click and copy, or copy button up here, and then you just copy in the rest of the cells there. So let's say you do this every day of the week. You go to bed that may not be true, right? Because schedules can vary, but let's say you do that right there. You've copied it all in, and you've filled in a whole bunch of things that represent what's going on. And then I know I don't wake up until about 6 or so, okay, or 5:30, so I may be sleeping until this time here. And so you can just copy and paste a lot of these items. Some other things may require a little bit more thinking. And generally, you're going to fill in all of your commitments, including your class schedule in here. And once you fill in your class schedule, then you're going to look for empty spaces in there where you can fit study time. And I want to see some specifically what you're studying for. So if you're taking my biology class or my anatomy class, I want to actually see study for anatomy or study for biology. And then you should probably be more specific, because this course has both a lecture and a lab component. We meet for 3 hours for each one, so you're going to have to devote time for studying for the laboratory as well. So you might be putting in for your 3-hour lecture, you're going to try to find 6 hours to study for those 3 hours you're in class, because remember, 2 hours per hour. And then the same is likely true for the laboratory, because we do cover a lot of information in the lab that needs to be learned. So you're going to need to be spending time studying for the laboratory as well. So again, there should be no blank spaces, and I should be able to look at it quickly and see where you're studying, and even be able to total up how you're doing now, or what you're doing. So again, let's say that you have you filled in all of your time commitments, and then there's so lots of this stuff is filled in. Maybe you even work, and you say, well, I have some time here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to study anatomy and physiology, and I'm going to study for the lecture at this time. And I'm going to string together a few of these blocks. Say I'm going to plan to study for an hour and a half here. And then you just copy it, and then go and find other times. What you're going to try to do is fill in enough blanks to fit the appropriate amount of study time for you. And now you're scheduled study time for yourself. And then you want to meet that commitment. Now this is a commitment that you are making for your studies, for your education, to study for those courses. If you're taking other classes, you might want to fill in times there as well for studying. So what I have here is a complete budget as an example, and I black bolded. You might want to glance at this, take a look at it. I black bolded specifically for, say, a class in anatomy and physiology. you're going to want me to be able to find that easily, and then be able to total up your hours and assess how much you've scheduled. So you can see here I have specifically study A&P lab, and A&P lab over here, A&P lecture. And even on Saturday and Sunday, the schedule that I provided as an example actually includes a student who works 20 hours a week part-time. And so you got to take that into account. If you're a student and you're working, that's going to take away time from study. And so providing or making a time budget is even more important for that. So, and of course, you want to schedule in time for socializing and rest and recreation and so on. Maybe go to church on Sunday, that kind of stuff. And again, notice there are no empty or blank spaces. You can't fill this in. This is just there as an example as to what this should look like when it's filled up for your particular schedule. Up here at the top, go ahead and put your name in there. Okay. And the semester, write in whatever semester it is. In this case, we're in the spring of 2019. This could be last semester would have been fall of 2018. Next semester or in the fall would be fall of 2019 and so on. So spring, fall, summer session, whatever you fill in up there. And that's pretty much it. And what you want to do is you're going to make sure that you're going to save it. Okay. So when you download it, it's saved to your download file. And you're going to want to make sure that you save it according to the description on here. There's a format. The following format is right here. I'm going to want it to say time budget. That way we have an idea of what the file is. An underscore, and then your last name dash first name, and then the course number and section. And if you don't know what course number and section, you can look toward the top of your Blackboard page, and it'll tell you that this is Biology 2401, section SE1. So that's the section there that you would put down for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and since I'm section SE1, I'll make the appropriate change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and copy this as kind of a guide, and then make the appropriate changes. I'm going to go back to and where I named the file. I'm going to Control V and paste it in there. It says time budget. It has my last name and my first name. Of course, you put your last name and your first name on there, not mine, in there. And we're not in 1406. That's the general biology course. In this example, the course is 2401. And the section is not W02, it's the section that this particular case is SE1. Again, the section is on your schedule, and then at the top, it's probably listed there at the top of your Blackboard page. And then you save it. Again, make sure you've completed all of the green space in there in your time inventory. And then the submitting is going to be the same as submitting the other assignment online. And this will be the only item that you're going to submit. And again, you're going to click on the assignment link here. And then towards the bottom, you're going to browse your computer. And what I would do is make sure you know what particular file you saved it under. And I got to search for my file. And there it is. This is the one I just named according to that format with your name and the course title. You're going to click on that, select OK. And now it's ready to upload. And then you just go here and you're going to click submit. Once you submit it, then I'll be able to open it up, see it, and give you a grade for your time budget. And you want to keep this time budget and modify it as the semester goes along. You may not need to study as much for a psychology class or an English class. You might find you need to put more time in a math class. So you go and you make adjustments for yourself. The time budget is really for you. I'm just kind of encouraging you to do it by making this a relatively easy grade. You only need to get it done and do it correctly, and it's an easy 100 to get. So I hope this video helps you complete the assignment. Let me know if you have any questions. Send the questions on Blackboard or ask me in class.